I can take this one. I think the biggest difference from high school is probably the amount of time, like free time that we have throughout the week. In high school, I was always somebody who liked to like be packed with things going on, like different clubs, sports, like a job, and those would always like kind of go back to back after school. But I feel like in college, everything is just like you have a lot more time to get everything done, but also more time management. But it's really nice to have more free time.
Yeah, I can add on to that as well. I definitely agree with Martha. I would say one of the biggest changes is the difference in free time. I'm a type of student who likes to stay very busy. As I said earlier, I'm a mechanical engineering major and I'm getting two minors and involved in a few clubs. So sort of to add on to that, Lehigh is just an amazing place to stay busy if you're that type of student. But again, if you want to be able to have that free time, that's the beautiful part about college. You can hang out with your friends, go off campus to one of the great restaurants, some of the great restaurants in the Bethlehem area. There's just so much to do, and really, it's an amazing time to take advantage of all the time that you have.
I think another thing that I found to be a big difference was like the academic environment. I think in high school, because you had the same classes as everyone, it could be super academically competitive because you knew what everyone around you was always doing. But because in college, you take so many different classes and meet so many different students, you don't feel that same kind of pressure to compare yourself to other students. And like you don't really know what everybody else is doing. So I find that like it can be academically challenging, but not competitive in the same way.
Yeah, I think that's like my favorite thing about Lehigh is like how collaborative the environment is versus like competitive. I would definitely say like that's a big difference from high school just because like everybody's in different classes. Like it's so rare to be in the exact same classes as everybody, which like makes it so much better so that like you can kind of like go to the library with other people, but you're not working on the same thing. And it's just really collaborative.
I also think that a big difference between like college and high school is just like the amount of like work material you kind of have to, get in one semester. So it's not like you're taking classes that last the whole year now and you spend like, maybe 1 month on like a unit in math. Like you go at a very like efficient pace. And like everybody said, like I think like as a Lehigh student, like we kind of love taking on like a challenge. And like it definitely is like challenging to go through like multiple courses each semester that are just like you're cycling like in and out and you have all this information you need to like be able to like comprehend and remember and apply like in a very short amount of time. So it's definitely something you like get to adjust to, but it's really cool because you get to try out a whole bunch of different classes.
And I guess personally for me, it's just the availability and things that you have at your disposal. As like a high school student, I feel like there's like not like a lot of boxes you're put in, but like there are things you're supposed to do and in order to things. In college, you can kind of make and do what you need to do for your schedule and kind of have a lot of flexibility and freedom with what you want to do. So classes wise or clubs wise, there's so much and so many things that are open to each student, which is pretty cool.
Wonderful. Those were great pieces of advice on the difference. So knowing that the class of 2025 is going to have a different start than you all did, can you describe what your orientation was like for them? Or for you, sorry.
I can go ahead and describe it. It's definitely from what our experience was to what you guys are going to have was very, very different. Ours was completely over Zoom, and right now it's expected to be in person at the beginning of next semester, which is really exciting for all of you guys. Orientation is usually, I believe, about a 4-day period, and it's a really important period for first year students because it's a time where you're going on campus, you don't really know where buildings are, you don't really know how to get settled in, but orientation is there for students to get settled and become comfortable. I know I was really worried prior to coming and just finding friends, not having enough time on my hands, sort of just sitting in my room alone. But Lehigh does a fantastic job, along with our orientation leader program, to make sure that first year students are feeling comfortable. They did a great job with the virtual setting, but it's going to be even better when you're fully back in person.
Yeah, I'm finishing up my orientation leader training now, and we have a lot of fun things planned for orientation. And it's really just a great place to like kind of get your bearings before you even get into classes so that like you're really not focused on totally learning like a new school when you're first starting your classes, which is really nice.
I also, for orientation, it was nice. Like for the first few days, you were in a group of like 10 people. And so we didn't even know where the dining halls were pretty much. And it was nice that you at least had like a few other people that you had like been on Zoom with all day and you guys will be in person with them all day. But like, I know we were like texting and be like, does anyone want to go to get breakfast tomorrow before the meeting for orientation? Just, it's a nice way to kind of explore the campus with people that you know are totally brand new to the environment as well and get to meet people in that kind of a setting.
I think a really important thing to point out is that everyone in the same exact boat as you are. You don't know what's going on. So if it's a little bit of a nerve-wracking experience, if you see just a student wandering, one of my best friends today, I just found him wandering around campus by himself. And now we're extremely good friends. And it's just kind of funny how things just work out like that because everyone's in the same boat and everyone's there to sort of help each other. And that's really what the Lehigh community is all about, sort of being there for each other, wanting everyone else to succeed. So I know it's a nerve-wracking experience, but please don't be worried, just because the orientation leaders, as Mars was saying, have great things planned and they'll make sure it's a very seamless transition.
Yeah, I mean, just going off like what Alex said, like orientation is like a very like easy experience. It's not like there because like, you know, Lehigh wants to like make you jump right into school. Like it's there to kind of like ease you in. So you have like a small group of kids you get to know like super early on. Like you don't have to become like best friends with all of them, but it is like a great way to sort of get introduced to a group of people and like kind of get to know like the other like, you know, peers you're gonna have around here. Like you may find kids in your group to like be in your classes and you can like talk about that. Like there are a bunch of like big lectures like first semester that like a lot of people do take. So like it may be a good way to like kind of just like network yourself and like, you know, find out like who your friends are and ease your way into Lehigh, like learn about the buildings, like know where the dining halls are, like get a like experienced like Lehigh orientation leader to kind of give you like their take on the university. So you have like an upperclassman friend right off the bat.
All right. So going to our next question, what is one thing you wish you knew last summer before starting at Lehigh?
I feel like, at least for me, one thing I would have really liked before starting Lehigh to know is how to use the registration system. I think that like registration is definitely like a stressful time for everyone, and especially like when you're first coming into college, like all you could think about is like what classes you're gonna take and how like you're super excited to like, you know, start working toward your major. And then like they kind of, you know, just mention like registration and everyone starts panicking. But like we do have a lot of great tools like for Lehigh registration that you can use that I wasn't like completely aware of like when I was starting. Like we have a plan ahead tool so you can actually schedule out your whole next semester and then just click a button on the day of registration and it will sign you up for all your classes. Like knowing things like that just really makes registration a lot more of a seamless experience than it like really is, because it's still going to be stressful no matter what. Like you're still going to not get every single class or every time you want, but like it is nice to know like what there is like for tools when you like first get in there.
I would say for me, it would be to ask questions and explore. So first asking questions, like any question as a first year student is warranted, because when you first walk on campus, you don't know where anything is sometimes, and because of COVID, some of us didn't even get to have tours, so a lot of kids were like, all right, where do I go for this? So just ask anyone who looks older than you or ask any faculty member. They are willing to help you about any question on classes or whether this is the right place for things, and just exploring. So even if you want to go get lost one day, walk up and down the mountain, familiarize yourself with where you are on campus and kind of learn where things are. You can kind of find cool spots to study, places to hang out. You'll find out there's like a whole lookout over campus. So kind of just explore and kind of have a lot of fun.
I think one thing that I wish I knew, I feel like I kind of went into college being worried about like how I would be able to like get connected with professors and everything, but I wish I knew like how easy that was so I didn't stress about it so early. Like it's so professors are like always there, like they always have office hours, like it's so easy like get connected with professors and get like all questions answered. So like even if you are in like a bigger class than you're used to, it's still so easy to like get connected with the professors, which is really nice.
I'd say one thing that I wish I knew was just you guys all just got through a very stressful process of finding out where to go to college. And the one thing that I really wish that I knew was that don't be stressed about what you're supposed to do in the future. A great thing about Lehigh is that the faculty and professors are all there to help you figure it out along the way. I was stressed about whether I want to do mechanical engineering or something else. But the thing with Lehigh is they're so open to allowing you to do whatever path you want to do. You get past your whole entire first year and want to change your entire life plan, and Lehigh is the perfect place to allow you to do so. So I know it's a very stressful time during the summer. Just I thought if I was in your place, I wish I knew. Just don't be stressed out over stuff because things will work out the way they're supposed to.
Perfect. Awesome. So Harry kind of led into my next question. But as a reminder for all of our attendees, if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A and I'll be more than happy to ask our panelists. So for our next questions, it's kind of a two-parter. How does class registration work and what is the advising process like?
So for incoming first years, you'll register for classes usually in July, and it will kind of go based on like, we've all registered for classes already, so you kind of have like, you're not going to get any changes or anything to your schedule like after, unless you choose to add or drop a class. But I'd say like it's really easy. There's this cool tool like on the registration thing you can do to plan ahead, and you can do like 5 different like mock plans that you want. And I did not take this into account, but it is a nice thing to know. Chicken finger Fridays every Friday around noon at lower court. And that's a really good thing at Lehigh if you want to kind of base your schedule off of that. But the registration is really easy, especially like everybody's given an advisor in their college. And then like later on, once you declare your major, you're given another advisor more specific to your major, which is really nice. And they're really there to help you like before registration. You're required to meet with them and like so they can approve your classes and everything. So it's really easy to like get help in figuring out what classes to take.
I can speak from like the other end, like of registration and post-registration. Sometimes students don't always get into the classes they really want to get into, but it's very easy to send an email to the professor because the name is right on the bottom. And if you email the professor, a lot of times they are more than welcome and more than likely to like let you in the class, or so, like there's 100 kids that are trying to get into the class. They'll just be like, all right, I'll add another section. That just happened to me literally today. I got added to another section of a class. I was very, very happy. I got into my class just by sending an email that said like, all right, there's like 100 of you who want to get in this class. We're opening a new section. So like they're very, very open to like, we see that a lot of kids want to take this class. Let's try and open up for a lot of other students to take it.
Another thing about registration is you have to have like a PIN to register, which is kind of a way of forcing you to meet with your advisor. And some people don't want to meet with their advisor. They're like, oh, I got it all figured out. But I know for me, it's so helpful because they also know like what teachers might be choosing to teach a class that semester. So if like I wanted to take a class this semester and my advisor was like, oh no, that teacher only teaches in the spring. So like I had to wait, but it's nice to have someone on the inside who knows that kinds of things. And like Caleb was saying, emails are great. And if you like CC your advisor on an email, they'll push for you as well. They'll know other people for you to reach out to. And there's like super responsive. The advisors are a great help. And with registering, I know even like my RA, like in my building, helped me register for my classes because I was freaking out. And so like everyone on campus is doing the same thing at the same time with registration, but it's stressful, but it's good. And it's like, don't be discouraged if you don't get into a class because there's so many other opportunities.
Awesome. All right. So before we switch areas of topic, we did get a question. And were you all able to get a link to help plan, like the plan ahead tool for registration? Or do you know where that link words are hard. Do you know where that link is?
So that's going to be on Banner. So if you go to like connect.lehigh.edu, which is where like a lot of the student services is, and then under student registration, there'll be like 6 different sections. And then I think it's the bottom left section is the plan ahead.
And big recommendation, a lot of the emails get sent over the summer. There is an email that has like full instructions of this and also a video to watch. I recommend watching the video if you have no idea what's happening. I watched the video and fully was able to plan ahead and like understand what's happening.
Perfect. And just so you know, so what Martha was talking about, you do have to have your Lehigh login to get into Connect. All of you, as long as you're deposited, you should be receiving that email from us. I would say probably middle to late May. That gives you access to your Lehigh email. And then that is where all of our communication for the rest of the summer will go to, is to your Lehigh email. So again, there's more to come on that in the middle to end of May. But all right, so switching gears, what are some must-haves you need to bring for the residence halls and for your room?
I would definitely suggest bringing a fan. So every single freshman dorm hall or residence hall doesn't have air conditioning other than M&M. My residence hall does not have air conditioning, so I would definitely suggest bringing it. I would say after the first month, it's absolutely fine. You just open your window. It's pretty cool in your room, but the first month can definitely get a little bit hot and steamy. So I would highly suggest bringing a fan, maybe going to Bed Bath & Beyond, just buying one of those big fans for about $30. That's what I did. Highly suggest that.
I also recommend a mattress pad for your dorm bed. I have one and I love my bed, and my roommate doesn't have one and she hates her bed and she spends half her time sitting on my bed doing her work. So I highly recommend getting a mattress pad for your dorm room.
I would also say, not that it's like oh, you can go.
No, I was just gonna say I agree with the mattress pad
God, yeah,
totally.
the mattress pad is really nice to have. One thing I would say, it's probably not a must-have, but like I think like buying decorations for your room, like especially with COVID, like it will definitely be better next year. But like I feel like with COVID, we do spend a lot of time in our rooms just because a lot of places aren't open. Like coffee shops won't really have much like indoor seating, if any. Like the libraries like are always a good option, but sometimes aren't open. So just getting decorations for your room and really like making it yours, like making it a place you want to be in, just really helps. And like I think it also helps with like moving away. Like if you really make your space like special to you, you're gonna want to stay there. So like it really helps just having like your room all like decorated like super, and like I don't know, into like your personality.
I would say like, I don't know if this makes sense, but like cubby storage or like boxes to put things in that are kind of cool. Because like then you can kind of compartmentalize what you need and where it is. Because under the bed space, also some of the closets have overhead space. So you don't want to just like stuff up there. If you put them in boxes or put them in places, it's a lot easier to find things later, and also like you have more space, I think.
I think something not to bring that I kind of have learned that like you do not need all the clothes in your closet. I am totally an overpacker whenever I go on vacation, and I totally did that like coming to school, and probably about like half of the stuff at least I have not worn once since being here. Like you do not need the clothes that you think you do.
Perfect. So a few more questions we got on housing. Are there bunk beds in the residence halls, or do you have singles?
So there are no bunk beds. I believe it's not possible to in the Lehigh residence halls. So for the majority of students, you'll be in a double. If you didn't already know, you can either go random online by filling out a survey, or you can also go on the Facebook group, which is what I did. I'm sure a lot of other people did that as well to find your roommate. But most likely you'll be living in a double. Sometimes you can request a single and they'll be able to accommodate you. And in some chances, or some takes, you'll also have a triple. Most students do have a double, and it's pretty much the setup is just two beds on either side of the room, 2 closets, 2 desks, and then 2 places to store your clothes. You can also get risers. This is what I have in my bed, to be able to fit stuff underneath your bed, but you can also put it on the lower setting if you don't feel like putting it as high.
Perfect. Are window air conditioners allowed?
Yes, they are. Or like the window fans thing, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't believe that the air conditioners that like the window units are allowed, but you can always reach out to housing services. During the next question, I'll try to find their email for you and I'll put it in the chat. But going on to the next question, does applying for housing earlier give you a better chance for better housing?
It's a lottery, so not really. But do it on time. We do recommend that you do it on time whenever the date that they say is like what you should do it by. But they give everyone a number. It's all randomized, and you never know what's going to happen. So that's up in the air, but definitely do it on time. I recommend that.
Maeve, were you trying to answer? You're still muted. Okay, I just wanted to double check before I move on. All right, so for the next question, when will you receive the roommate selection? Caleb, I don't know if you know since you're going to be a Griffin. I also don't want to put you on the spot.
I don't know. Yeah, I would let someone else answer that.
I want to say it was around like end of May, June, and it wasn't like the minute you received the email that you had to have a roommate already picked. Like there was time. There's also like a cool website that you can that they'll send you in the email where you can put in, your sleeping habits, like what you like to do. Are you someone who goes out, stays in, that kind of stuff? And they can match you with someone. So if you like didn't find a roommate through Facebook, there's a lot of people on this like website who are looking for people, and they give you compatibility rates. Me and my roommate had a 25% compatibility rate, and we still like each other. So like I wouldn't take it too much to heart, but it is a really good resource to kind of find people who have similar habits than you, are interested in similar things. It asks like for TV shows, books, and stuff, so you can find people. And even if you don't choose them to be your roommate, it's a really good site to meet people that you can like communicate with and meet up with when you get on campus.
Perfect. So that kind of already answered the next question that I had, was how does choosing your roommate work? Does anybody have anything else to add?
I think like the Facebook page is also a really good way to go about it. So like once you're like accepted, you can go into the like Lehigh University like class of 2025 Facebook page, and like you'll see just a ton of people like posting pictures and like things they like to do. And that's a really great way to find a roommate. That's how I found my roommate. And like we like get along really well. We've done like a really good job living together. Like she's one of my best friends here. So it really does work. Also, like even if you're not looking for a roommate on that page, like if you want to go random, it's also a great way to like find people to talk to, or find people who like live near you that are going similar majors. So even if you're not looking for a roommate, it's a really great way to meet other people.
To piggyback off Martha, like besides finding a roommate, it is really good place to connect with people. People open up group me's all the time over on that space, because group me's are used at Lehigh at least for classes. So you can find like everyone in Chem 31, which is the class I'm taking. We're all in like one big group me. So if someone has a question, it can get answered between a lot of people. So just make sure you kind of stay up on the Facebook group chat and see if there's any group me's open for your majors, classes, or whatever you're taking.
Perfect. And the final question we have regarding housing is, if you have picked a roommate, how do you guarantee that you will be with that person?
I'm pretty sure that once they send out the roommate selection survey, you don't like, if you find somebody over Facebook, you don't actually have to go through the whole survey and like see like your compatibility. You like I think you just search up their name, and if they're in the system, they'll come up and you select each other and hit submit. And if you're both on the same page and the system has you that you're choosing each other, it will automatically place you with that person. Otherwise, I think it will just go through the system, and whoever it matched you with, they'll automatically put you with that person. So it's not something too much to be stressed about.
Perfect. So how long did it take for all of you to get acclimated to Lehigh and get used to everything?
I would definitely say probably after 1 week, maybe a few days after orientation. Orientation really does a great job of getting you accustomed to campus, showing you where the buildings are. If you're on campus, I would highly suggest just walking around campus, to sort of acclimate yourself to the buildings, but also just try to find some random people. Spend like an hour walking around because it allows you to actually make friends that you may have not been able to previously. Yeah.
I think for me personally, I spent the entire first semester learning something new every week. And so I think a lot of the time when I thought I was getting acclimated, something else would be thrown into the mix. I'm from California, so I'm very far away from home. So I do think that I had a lot of other things that I had to acclimate to, like even like weather and like the slang that people use from the East Coast. Like I didn't know what people were saying sometimes. But I do think that like Lehigh, because a lot of our classes are smaller, our professors are super involved, and there's so many like opportunities to like join clubs and stuff. It's really easy to get acclimated if you like put yourself out there, surround yourself with people that you like really like at first. I know like I was walking around with a lot of confidence that I knew where every building was after 2 weeks. Definitely didn't, but at least I had that feeling of like, everyone on campus was in the same position. It's a lot easier to get acclimated when you know that everyone in like your residence hall is feeling the same way.
I'm pretty similar to Maeve. Like I'm not shy about the fact that I was pretty homesick when I first got here, which was a total shock to me because I was like never a homebody in high school. Like I was definitely like always out, like always doing things. I was not prepared to be homesick. But I feel like totally what Maeve was saying, like getting involved, just really kind of like taking your mind off of things as much as that helps with like the homesickness, it also helps with like meeting new people and then just like getting involved, which is really nice. So yeah, like I feel like everybody has their own timetable, but once you start getting involved and like classes start getting going, it's like there's no time to be thinking about like being homesick, that type of thing.
Building off what Martha was saying, I was definitely also afraid of being homesick on campus. But a great thing about orientation, it's sort of like a boot camp. You wake up, I think, like 8:30 a.m. and you're just constantly doing stuff because you're not alone if you do get homesick. Because Lehigh understands that it's possible for that to happen. So you're just constantly doing things during that first week, which I think is really important. Lehigh does a great job with that.
Also, for me personally, like what acclimated me the best was also meeting students along with the students that are in my class in the 2024 year. Meeting students who are also older than me, especially in like the clubs. We had a clubs fair online, but you guys will get it all in person. It's really cool. It's on the lawn. It's amazing. There's tables everywhere. You can sign up for like 20 different things. You're getting to meet students of all different classes who've had so many different experiences, and you can shoot them a text if you're like lost on campus, can't find anything. There's also the Hawkwatch app, which everyone will download when they come to campus, which can help you find a lot of places on campus. Also, I know a lot of students use Snapchat to start, like just Snapchat in general. It has all the buildings on the map, so if you want to zoom in on the map and find your class, that's how I did it one day, and I perfectly found my class that way, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. All right. So if a student wanted to double major or even double minor, who do they speak to and when should they speak to them?
So I personally am double majoring in journalism and political science. Basically, I just spoke to my advisor who put me in touch with the head of both departments. I met with the head of both departments. They helped me make kind of mock schedules, and they knew that I was planning to do both. So we went through the core classes and made sure that I had room in my schedule for both of those things. And I have an advisor from both the political science department and the journalism department, and they like know each other, and they do that kind of like talk to each other if I was like worried about getting a class or something. It is very easy to double major if that's what you want to do and you have room in your schedule to do that. But you do not have to declare a major until the end of your sophomore year. I personally just kind of figured out what I wanted to do after taking a few classes and decided to double major so that I was sure that I had room and that I was taking the classes I needed to. But all of the information about core classes and requirements are online and super easily accessible. So you don't have to declare, you can like guide yourself on that path if that's what you're looking to do before you actually make the decision.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar to Maeve. I'm also doing a double major, but I'm doing a double major in two different colleges. So I'm in like the College of Health where I have an advisor as a population health major. And then I'm also in the College of Arts and Sciences where I have an advisor like with my other major. So like I find it very easy, like really if you're having any questions about it too, like under all of the majors on the website, there's an email of like the head of that department, and they'll put you like they'll either talk to you themselves or put you in contact with somebody. So like I reached out to my first advisor. I got put in contact with an advisor in the College of Arts and Sciences in my specific major. So just like the communication is key, but it's very easy to double major, especially like within the different schools, and the declaring is the same in at least for me, both the College of Health and College of Arts and Sciences.
Wonderful. All right. So do any of you live in any of the themed residence halls or the themed floors?
I don't, but like totally recommend it if that's what you want to do. I know a couple RAs who are RAs of the themed halls and themed floors, and I think it's really cool that Lehigh does that because it's a cool way to make sure that like if you want to do outing, that you like you can find like 10 people on your hall that like want to go take a hike with you, and that's really easy. There's also like a music appreciation house. As a musician, I wish I like had done that because do a lot of music. So like I think it's a totally good way to make another community of people that are also like-minded and want to like do the extracurriculars that you are really interested in too.
Wonderful. All right. So what is Prelusion and how do you apply for it?
I can try to speak to that. So I actually tried to do a Prelusion program last summer. I decided not to just because they decided to be virtual. My sister, who goes to a different university, actually did sort of a similar program. I would highly suggest doing it if you're interested in doing so. It's a program that usually takes place about 4 to 5 days before actual orientation will start. And it's really amazing because it sort of lets you get more settled into campus, more so than even the other kids who are arriving for normal orientation. So there's a few different Prelusion programs. One of them allows you to stay in your residence hall a few days earlier, but you go in a cohort about 20 kids, and then you'll go around the Bethlehem area, sort of learn about the history. It's a really cool one. There's another one where you create a startup in about 3 days to sort of learn about business applications. So it's a lot of cool things to sort of create a good community, get to know other students before the majority of other students come on. There was this one Prelusion program which I was actually going to try to help lead this summer, which is called Outdoor Adventure, I believe, where normally you get to go whitewater rafting. I believe this year they're not doing it, but if you look on the Prelusion website, there's a ton of great opportunities. And again, I would highly suggest doing it because it really allows students to get settled in before the majority of the other students come to campus.
Perfect. So we got another question about risers. Alex, I think you might have mentioned this, or I know one of you did, but do you get risers through Lehigh or do you have to purchase them on your own?
I don't know for sure. I'm pretty sure you can just email housing. Housing at Lehigh is pretty good. All you have to do is send them an email and they'll send you a pretty quick response. I think all you have to do is request them. I'm sure there's more information online unless one of the other tour guides can speak more to it.
I mean, I know, like, I didn't know you could actually get them through the school, but if you want, you could always go online and purchase them. I know before I got here, I actually got ones with an outlet in them, so you can like charge things by your bed, which is really cool. So if you're like thinking that you're gonna need a lot of chargers, I mean, as college students, we definitely do. The ones with an outlet are really nice. They just like plug right into the wall, and they're like super easy to use.
All right. So do any of you bike, or do you know of different places where students can lock their bikes on campus, or can you keep bikes in your room?
There are bike racks outside of all the residence halls as far as I've seen. A lot of students keep them there and can lock them, and they're really safe there. Also, what's really cool is that because we're on a mountain, sometimes you want to bike down the mountain but not up. The buses all have bike racks on them, so you can sit your bike rack on the bus as you're riding up and down along campus too.
All right, so we got a question about safety and the surrounding area. Are there any facts or any personal experiences that you can share, maybe about what makes you feel safe at Lehigh, or just about safety in general?
I personally have never felt unsafe in the Bethlehem area. And I just say that a lot of that has to do with a lot of the surrounding houses off of campus, directly off campus, are houses that students live in. So a lot of upperclassmen are the ones who live directly off of campus. And we have the Lehigh Police Department, who are amazing people. They are always around, like watching out for people, make sure everyone's safe. There's an app that everyone has on their phone, the Hawk Watch app, where you can immediately call the police department and they'll be there within 90 seconds. I personally have never had to use the Hawkwatch app, and I don't know anyone who has. But there are amazing resources. We have the blue light system that a lot of other college campuses have. So click the button, police department will be there in 90 seconds. You can do a virtual walk home, and your pin will be dropped to the LUPD, and they can watch you walk on your way home. So no, I personally have never felt unsafe. There's college kids everywhere. There's the LUPD and the Bethlehem Police Department. So it's a pretty good, safe community.
Yeah, I've never felt unsafe on campus. You will like always see a police officer no matter where you go. Like something that I think is really cool. There are police officers riding around on horses in the spring that I've seen a lot. So that's really cool. Like I've always felt safe. Like I was here over Thanksgiving break and I never felt unsafe, even with like there obviously weren't many students here, but there were always still like even on break, there are police officers everywhere. Like felt totally safe being here over break.
All right, so if a student plans on studying abroad, and I know all of you haven't had this option yet, but when would you suggest that they start talking to their advisor or somebody else about studying abroad?
So we have some great study abroad resources. It's located in Cook's Hall on campus. I would probably suggest starting to look at it maybe beginning of your sophomore year. Most students will tend to do it maybe first or second semester junior year. It definitely takes some planning around, but Lehigh really does an incredible job with allowing students to do study abroad. I'm a mechanical engineering major, and at a lot of other universities, I've heard that students have just never even thought about doing study abroad because it's usually a 4-year pretty intensive course load. But Lehigh is, I believe, 30% engineers. So they do an amazing job with sort of organizing that for their students. So if it's easy for engineers to study abroad, you can just imagine what it is for the College of Health, College of Business, and Arts and Science as well. And if for some reason you don't feel like going abroad during the semester, Lehigh offers some other really cool programs during the summer, one of them being Silicon Valley, which is something run by our entrepreneurship program at Lehigh called Baker Institute. And basically what you do is you go to Silicon Valley for the summer and you basically will walk around and talk to different startups. It's a really great opportunity. And if you want to get even further abroad, there's also something called the Iacocca International Internship Program, which basically allows students to find an internship anywhere in the world. And if you get into it, it's a pretty competitive program to get into. However, if you get into it, then you basically get to choose an internship somewhere. And the moment you step on the plane to go there, everything is paid for, whether it's your plane, housing, food, transportation. It's a really unique opportunity that a lot of other schools don't have. It's something I'm planning on trying to register for. So Lehigh has some great opportunities. But back to the original question, I would definitely start looking at it maybe at the beginning of your sophomore year.
Wonderful. So Martha, this question may be geared towards you. So are the students going to have someone show them where their classes are during their first year orientation?
Yeah, so there's an option to go on a tour and everybody will like know where their classes are at that point, like building wise. And then like if you just tell like one of your orientation leaders like, oh, like I'm looking for this building, they'll show you where it is. Also, like I know like you can just like really ask any orientation leader and they'll be like more than willing to show you where it is.
All right. So I don't know. I know all of you said you weren't living in themed housing, but do you know where some of the themed halls are located? Are they spread out throughout campus? Are they in one of the residence halls?
I know they're definitely spread around campus in multiple buildings. I'm in McClintock and Marshall, which is one of the first year residence halls, but right next to it is Taylor House, and Taylor is typically STEM housing. So I like all my friends in there, like in like the engineering school or like doing computer science. But the buildings are like located all over the Asa Packer campus at least, which is where we all live. So.
what was the experience and sensation that all of you got from attending the Club Expo?
I think our Club Expo was a little bit different than what you guys will be getting in this fall because we were virtual. I've heard great things about the like regular Club Expo, but it was really well done, even like virtually. There were Zoom links to like every single club. They sent out like a link to a website to find all those Zoom links. So it was still really easy. And it was just like, it was overwhelming in a good way to see how many options there were to get involved.
All right, so is it better to double major or apply for any of the honors programs? And do you know if there's one option that is less challenging?
I'll probably argue it depends on what you're interested in. Engineering is the main program that offers the more interdisciplinary honors programs. So there's IBE, the Integrated Business and Engineering Program, which is a really great program. You can either do 4 or 5 years, and it allows you to gain a dual degree in mechanical engineering and business. It's definitely a very rigorous course load. I have a ton of friends who are in it, but from what I've heard, those students come out with such great work experience because they're able to work on projects in the classroom that a lot of other students at other universities won't have the opportunity to. And then another engineering program is the Ideas program, which is integrated arts and science and engineering program, which is pretty similar to IBE, just it's where you get a degree in College of Arts and Science and also in the College of Engineering. But if you're not in engineering, I'll let someone else talk about the double major, maybe Martha or Maeve.
Since I'm in 2 different colleges, I'm like a dual degree. I think that it can be pretty challenging because I have to like get the core requirements in both like colleges and then like in the majors as well. So I think that would be challenging, but I think that like doing a double major really helps you like focus on what you're interested in, which is nice.
All right, so I personally love this next question because I think it's super important for any student that's coming into college. So for textbooks, do you mostly rent, purchase? Do you get them online? What options do you have as students?
So the Lehigh University Bookstore, which is located in Farrington Square on campus, on their website, they'll have listed all the courses and if there are any textbooks required for those courses. And they'll have those textbooks at the bookstore. So you order them online, they'll be delivered and you pick them up at the bookstore. The Lehigh Library also has a really extensive catalog. I know a lot of my teachers have gone away with textbooks and they've been using the databases that the library has. They're super easy to access. You just literally type in Lehigh Library Catalog and it'll bring you to it. So you can access PDFs and all that kind of stuff. And also the Facebook page, you'll find that towards the end of the summer, a lot of upperclassmen will go on your class of 2025 Facebook and let you know like, oh, hey, I was in econ last semester. I have the textbooks. If anybody wants to like purchase them off of me, you can also get stuff online from like Amazon. But I really did not have an issue finding any of my textbooks and a lot fewer classes are having them recently.
There's so many options also, like there's hardback and paperback and also printable versions. So some students like, I just want to write in my book. So sometimes the hardback is a little intimidating to write in because it's like very fancy and neat. So if you get like a messy like paperback version, you can like scribble in it. So whatever you decide to do, there's so many ways to like mix and match depending on what your classes are. Also, a lot of the math courses have online kind of books and modules too, because a lot of the homework is sometimes done online. So just like to remember that like sometimes you don't have to buy the same book twice unless you want it in paper and want it online. You will probably get an online version with your package of like your homework and things like that.
Yeah, I'm personally a big fan of just using online textbooks because Lehigh is on a mountain, so I don't feel like carrying the textbooks up the hill. Usually a lot of the textbooks you can actually find for free online. I know for if you're taking calculus, actually Calc 1, Calc 2, and Calc 3 are all in one single PDF that you can easily find online. I know you can do the same for a lot of other ones. It just is a matter of looking. And then you can also purchase some online textbooks from the bookstore as well.
Are students allowed to have visitors stay in their residence halls?
We were not allowed to this year, obviously, but in normal times, like you are, I think there's a certain amount of nights that you can have a visitor before having to register it with the school, I believe. Um, Also, like going back to also like safety and having visitors, like everybody who doesn't live in your specific dorm room does not have like key card access. So each residence hall has like key like security, so you have to be living in that residence hall in order to get in. So like even other students aren't allowed in the residence halls, but yeah, that's just kind of going back to safety. But yeah, you can have visitors.
How available are professors and teaching assistants?
I'd say very. They make it known on like your first day of classes what their hours are, and your Lehigh email is the best way sometimes to get to them. They make sure that like they respond. I've never had a professor that's responded later than 48 hours from when I sent an email to them, which is really really helpful so that I can get my questions answered. And TAs are also great. They're not as great as a professor, obviously, because the professor has got the most knowledge about the class, but they've gotten at least in, I think, B plus or A in the class, so they can also answer a lot of your questions. So just making sure that you get an email out to any of them whenever you have a question, because there's likely that your question could also be the question of 50 other people in your 300-person class. So just asking questions, I think, is the best way to go, and making sure you send your emails out.
Every professor here though is required to hold office hours, and they do make that like very visible in the syllabus of the class. So like when it's your first day of class, and like most classes, like your first week is just kind of gonna be like going over the syllabus and everything. So you will know like when your professors are available, and like when they hold office hours, they'll like sit there and wait for kids to come in. So they typically will have availability, and they're like very accommodating with helping you with whatever. Like I go to my accounting office hours a lot, and the professor is super helpful. Like she'll sit down and like go through problems with me that like I can't necessarily like get on my own like from the homework, but like they like try and help you get the answer yourself. They don't like give you the answer, which is really nice. So like you could just go during their office hours, and they're like more than happy to help you.
I personally had a very positive experience with my professors and TA's office hours with my Econ 1 class, which tends to be a very large class, probably around 150 students. I once sent an email to my professor to see if she could meet, and literally 5 minutes later, she sent me a Zoom link and she was helping me with the problem. So it sort of just goes to show the professors here really want to be able to be accessible for students even outside of office hours, which is incredible. And also, again, TAs are an amazing resource. My Calc 3 TA is incredible. I sent him one night a text, I think at 9 p.m. because I was really stuck on a math problem. And about 30 minutes later, he sent me a worked solution of how to go through it. So Lehigh does choose TAs pretty carefully. They're really knowledgeable, and they have more office hours than professors. So you will always have someone to talk to if you have questions.
What kind of jobs are on campus, and is it hard to find a job?
I know like work study wise, I personally don't have one, but a lot of my friends have work studies. It's really easy to get those like literally like in the first week of being here. You just have to like kind of email. They'll send out a bunch of work study opportunities. A lot of my friends have their work studies like within the athletic department. So like one of my friends was actually able to like go to the football games this season because she worked for the like even the away ones because she like worked for the football team. Like another one of my friends like films the soccer games like as a work study. And it's just really easy to get involved that way. I also know some people who like work at places in South Bethlehem, like the Pliables or the Starbucks, like right off of campus.
Sorry, my mic was not unmuting. If you could do one thing differently in your first year, besides COVID, like COVID out of the way, what would that one thing be?
I think personally for me, I'm like tragic at social media, but I do think that if I had spent a little more time like over the summer going through the Facebook page and like just reaching out to people and not being like scared of like DMing people or like adding them on Snapchat, That's something I definitely would have done differently, because I did find that when I came to campus, a lot of people had done that. Like a girl that I live with, she had like a whole week of lunch lined up. One person from Instagram she's going to meet every week. So I do think that I would have definitely been a lot more like outgoing on social media to meet people before I came to campus, so that when I got here, like I already knew a lot of people.
I'd probably say that
Oh, go ahead. Al.
I would probably say that I wish I would explore the North Bethlehem side of campus a little bit more. So the way it works is South Bethlehem is right off campus, right across from Farrington Square, and it's a really nice area. But North Side also is an incredible area with a lot of restaurants and cafes, but it's across the bridge, so it's a little bit more inconvenient to go to. But if you make friends with upperclassmen or even Uber, it's about a 5-minute Uber, so it's pretty cheap if you go with friends. There's a ton of stuff to do over there that I wish I was able to explore. And there's also like a minor league baseball park about 15 minutes away. And also there's a place called Dorney Amusement Park, which I wish I explored. So I definitely wish I explored a little bit more, but again, during COVID, it was definitely more challenging to do so.
I think that one thing I wish I did more first semester, especially, was like get out of my room and go to the library during the day. Like it's a great place for you to like go with classmates or even just your friends to do work like in between classes, or like when we were in virtual classes, like take the virtual classes there. So like I like really wish that first semester I had done that more, not spend so much time like in my residence hall. Like now this semester, like I feel like I go down in the morning like to the library and then don't come back up until like after dinner, which I enjoy a lot more than kind of being cooped up in my room all day.
Yeah, what I would have done differently is the same as Martha. I would have gone out of my room a lot more if I could have. I think even like the libraries are really great. Like you can reserve rooms in there and like you can go in with friends and kind of just study together. Or I really enjoy like just going to like random buildings on campus and finding somewhere to study, because in almost every single building on campus, there are like lounge spaces where you can study, and like a lot of them are like very like much like hidden gems, like you kind of like wouldn't know about them unless you just started walking through a building and like explored it, and they're really nice and really secluded, so you can like get a lot of work done there, and it's really fun to go just like grab a cup of coffee and then go study somewhere. So I wish like I did that a bit more.
I would say like Alex, a lot of exploring for me. I kind of started my second semester doing a kind of taste of South Bethlehem and finding all the places that allow you to do Gold Plus or just cool places in the area that people recommend and eating there. But first semester, I wish I did that because now I have so many places to recommend people to, like, if you want to go eat a taste of food, like here's a great place to go. But just exploring the space that you're in, because campus is a really beautiful place, but there's also cool places off campus that really offer like a different kind of vibe that just is different. I kind of appreciate.
All right, and we have time for one more question. So what is one piece of advice that you would give to the class of 2025?
I can start. Maeve, go ahead.
I think one piece of advice I would give is take like any class that you think sounds interesting. Like if you're going through registration and you didn't get like that math class or the English class, really take a chance and take a class like you didn't think about. Like I randomly got placed in like a gender studies class, and I have told every single person I've ever met that they have to take the class. And so I think don't not being like scared that you like have to finish all these requirements like the minute you come onto campus. Like it's Lehigh's a really great place and gives you so much room to explore so many different majors. Like really take advantage of that and, look at different avenues you might have not thought of.
I'd probably say one thing to cherish. Just make the most of what you have. It's pretty incredible to say. I'm sure we can all agree. Our first year is already gone, which is pretty crazy. It really flew by. Really, college is going to be the best 4 years, 5 years of your life, depending on what you choose to do with it. But really cherish it just because it flies by really quickly. Make the most of the opportunities that you have. College is a time for you to sort of discover yourself, similar to what Maeve said. take the time to take classes that you're interested in, not sort of just what you think is best for your professional career. I know for me, I'm deciding to take some entrepreneurial classes that I wouldn't normally take, but they're really interesting to me, even though I know they're probably not going to be as much of a benefit to my career later on. But definitely suggest taking classes that you're interested in, taking advantage of the resources available to you, because coming to Lehigh will allow you so many resources to use.
I'd say, I think a lot of students, I think all over colleges everywhere, are just very focused on their major and getting like, this is what I came to college to do. I came to college to study, get my major, and move on for my 4 years. But just take time to breathe and be in the 4 years, join clubs, meet friends. Like, it will all happen. Don't worry about it. Just like not get overwhelmed with just that I have 4 classes and these are my core classes that I need to get done. Just make sure that you're spending the time enjoying your 4 years, because this is where you chose. It's a great place to be, so just make sure you're keeping your head up and breathing.
Yeah, I would say one piece of advice I would give to like somebody coming in is like don't stress out too much. Like I know that's a lot easier like said than done. But like it's your first year of college. Nobody expects you to get everything perfectly. Like, it's definitely an adjustment and everybody knows that. Like all your professors like are very understanding of that. Like everybody else like is in the same boat like as you who's also coming in. So like everybody is nervous about making friends, like everyone's nervous about like doing well in their classes. Like you're gonna do fine. Like I wouldn't solely focus on like one thing and like overwhelm yourself or like get too caught up on something. Like you really just kind of have to like let everything happen like the way it's supposed to, and like everything like will work out. Like I know that sounds like very cliche, but like it really will. Like you just kind of have to not let yourself like get too worked up about things, and like everyone is really here to help you.
All right. Well, that kind of brings us to our time. We appreciate everybody who attended tonight to take time out of their busy schedule, maybe out of some homework, who knows. And thank you to our amazing panelists, to our amazing tour guides. I know I'm going to miss them a lot over the summer myself, but I can't wait to greet all of you on campus in the fall, as well as our tour guides. If you do have any other questions for any of our students, please reach out to your regional admissions counselor and we can put you in contact with them. But we hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your evening and also rest of your senior year. Have